So I'd like to bring onto the stage Julie Bowerman, Chief Marketing Officer of Kellogg's, Deanna Finster, Head of Agency and Tech Partnerships at Walmart Connect, and Shaun Brown, EVP of Commerce for Tinuiti. So welcome, everyone.
Good morning. It's just, first off, I'll say it's just awesome to see everybody in person again. It's like a family reunion, so many faces once again. But let's talk about the retail ecosystem with some great partners here today. The last 2.5 years have been a roller coaster for all of us, whether it be supply chain issues, inventory, changing shopper behaviors. We just heard from GM even how it impacted them in the auto industry. It's affecting every industry. And to dive into, look, I don't like to share a whole lot of numbers, but I'm going to throw a whole lot of numbers at you here for a few minutes to kind of what has driven this. There's been a revolution in shopper behavior. More people are shopping for purchasing online, 50% growth across that category, 43% increase in digital shopper grocers, doubling click and collect and buy online and pick up in store, and social commerce has grown 25% from the past 12 months. So huge growth across those categories, but it's not just that. Shoppers are changing their behavior. They are now more omni-channel than ever. This is actually a report from McKinsey, just a couple weeks old. 75% of shoppers are omni-channel, buying on multiple channels. And these are same shoppers, so their behavior changes. It's the same shopper, not choosing one. They're playing across all these categories. That means we have to start to understand how to talk to each of these shoppers during each of these moments. Clearly, e-commerce is a huge winner out of that, growing 27%. That's as a category. Grocery is going to be 30% of total sales by next year. And a huge winner out of all that, retail media. 306% growth. $61 billion is going to be spent in retail media by 2025. So that is a massive shift on how we have to think about our media dollars, how do we connect with shoppers, the roles that retailers play, and have brands have to rethink how they go to market. But it's not all digital. Retail is still really, really important. 81% of sales are still happening in stores. But stores are becoming more digital. So really, it's about understanding the total ecosystem of how these all work, and that's what today's about. So to help us answer those questions, two amazing partners with Kellogg's and Walmart from a brand and a retailer perspective to kind of go through how are they addressing that and how do they inspire what we can go do. So we're going to start with question one. So Deanna, what are some of the changes, impacts you've seen in your business?
Yeah, great question and lovely to be here. Super excited to see everybody in person again, not just be on the Zoom screen. So I'm really excited about that. One thing we talk about at Walmart is commerce on the customer terms. So it's not just digital, it's not just in store, it's sort of like a blending of that. And you see this crossover happening for us in store. So I think we have about 69% of our customers, when they're in the store, they're actually on the app, in this online stores, looking at the brands, looking at ratings and reviews. And so you see this interesting blend, even as they are in the store. We're seeing during this time, during the pandemic, we've seen this massive acceleration of change, diversification of channels, more and more coming at them, different ways of shopping. And so it's really been this interesting shift and change over these time. For us, pickup and delivery has definitely grown and accelerated. And as you mentioned, while there's this bulk of shopping that's being done in the physical stores of 80%, online shopping is not going away. Newsflash, I think, for nobody in this room. But it's definitely here to stay. But there's been this really interesting blend, I think, across the two of them.
And from the brand side, how does that impacted you guys?
Yeah, so you can see, from the chart up here, the growth that we've realized in our business kind of been online over the last three years, and certainly accelerated through COVID. And for us, one of the challenges, or one of the things we're trying to do, is kind of shift to what we're calling full funnel marketing. So working with partners like a Walmart to really connect as we're increasing our spend bottom of the funnel. Now, how do we connect to top of the funnel? And a lot of that work that happens on the brand side is more in kind of ways of working, structure, kind of internal budgeting, cycles that integrate better, thinking about the full consumer experience. Consumer brands call consumer, retailers call them customers, so we'll interchange those words. But really thinking kind of full consumer shopper experience when you're thinking kind of when you're planning your budgets. And so my team at Kellogg is accountable for both top and bottom of funnel. And so I'm doing a lot of work internally in those teams to kind of integrate them together so that we can connect that into an experience.
So would you say retail media is as much brand media as anything else?
Yeah, well, I'd say and we'll get to that in a little bit. I think there's still some debate about, how much lower funnel tactics drive upper funnel metrics of equity and loyalty and the things that, we measure more at the top of the funnel. And the metrics don't align, which is part of the challenge, and so the way in which we're measuring does need to come together. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, so Julie, with all these dramatic e-commerce changes in store, what do you do as a brand? What do you do as a retailer?
Yeah, so this is some of the stats Shaun just shared and Diana talked about in terms of kind of how consumers are behaving. I've come from many, many years in CPG, kind of pre-Kellogg. I was at Coke for a lot of years, and I've spent a lot of time kind of in big CPG brand side, convincing companies that this online grocery thing is going to happen. And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about how do we build kind of online, dedicated capabilities. Now, really where we're shifting is more omni. So kind of to the point where I've taken my shopper team and my e-commerce team and I've brought them together into an omni-commerce team. And so we're thinking much more integrated in the way that we address these shopping behaviors. And historically, for the last 3 to 5 years, those teams have sat silo. We've had a shopper team, shopper marketing builds in-store programs, and the e-commerce team builds online programs. And so that is a kind of internal solve on ways of working. It's nothing glamorous or earth-shattering. It's critical to kind of bring that right shopper experience together.
But those simple things change significantly how the company operates.
Definitely, yeah.
So Deanna, how does it change for Walmart?
I mean, the good news for us is we have the scale and the footprint across both online and in-store. So stats are up on the slide for those online or in here, but 4,700 stores. We touch 90% of America's shops at Walmart, and 150 million people are visiting in-store and online. So it's a pretty massive footprint. And I think what Julie was talking about, the omni, is definitely something that we're focused on, bringing those experiences together. And we'll talk about some of that a little bit later, but the scale really, really helps there.
I think one of the things that has pushed brands, frankly, towards omni is that the retailers have shifted so dramatically that way. It was originally kind of Amazon was kind of the behemoth in online grocery, and then Walmart started catching up, and now there's a proliferation, and the retailers have merged, their buying behaviors, their media teams are thinking omni. And so for us to continue to be valued partners with retailers, we had to think that way too. It is the shopper experience, but is the way that we're going to win with really important customers.
I argue there's been a vision for that for a long time. You and I have done this for years and been trying to get there. The retailers just weren't there.
Yeah.
And so I think Amazon helped push that, open those doors.
Yeah, for sure.
And the capability, retailers were looking for manufacturers to bring that to the table, and they realized, no, we have to own that. So now that's why Deanna is in her role.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, what would be your advice on balancing in-store, e-commerce, and media?
So the great thing is that here's a great example of our partnership with Walmart. I'd say we've really leaned in with Walmart, particularly as they've built kind of their capabilities in not only the media space, but data particularly. And so that's been kind of an important way for us to work with a partner like Walmart to say, help us connect that full funnel, right? So if you're kind of back to a couple slides ago, kind of that's our destination. How do you become my measurement and data solution for me to prove to my brand organization that thinking in that integrated way, lower funnel drives some of the upper funnel metrics? And then how do you help me from a measurement standpoint, bring new measurements to the table that I can internally educate, our sales team, our brand teams to say, like, this is driving value beyond just even transaction. And so that really is why I'd say that balance of kind of that retailer media kind of with branded media is so critical for us.
Yeah. Indiana, in your world.
Yeah, just going back to what we were talking about, commerce on the customer's terms, it's not, again, about just one. It's really about the blending of the two of them. We did a study and we saw that 82% of customers were using the app while they were specifically shopping for food and bev in Walmart. They're using their app on average 2 to 4 times on every single trip. They're looking at product. 4 out of 10 customers are looking at ratings and reviews, and they're happy to try new brands as they're sampling these new ones, especially I think during the current economic time. So what we've done here, and Julie was sort of talking about in the previous slide, we have this One Walmart omnichannel program where we're bringing together across all the different touch points opportunities for shoppers, for brands to go across all these ones. So whether it's shoppable live streams or it's opportunities for site ops placements, O&O, across all of these different facets, there's opportunities to connect, and then connecting them all through this one omni-channel program.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 to 4 times per shopping trip on your app is, I've never seen that stat. That's amazing. Yeah.
It's the repeat visit, and I think continuing as you're like shopping through the store, thinking about how you're looking at different products.
All right. We'll stick with you, Julie. What solutions are building within your own organizations to address this new reality? How are you guys changing?
Yeah. So, and I've talked a little bit about it for sure. I mean, one of the biggest things we're doing right now is in measurement. We have historically measured our media investment using MMM. Probably many of you brands out there are very familiar with the pain points of MMM, and but that is how we have for a long time determined where our best investment in terms of media is placed. And so it looks at ROI. And it's 6 months lagging from when actually the media was in market. And so it has its challenges when you're kind of in this more agile kind of full funnel, how are you converting? And so much of what we're doing now is to try and just say, okay, what are the, kind of add-on metrics that we can use to help kind of internally really understand the value of this. The challenge with that is MMM and Nielsen historically is a one-stop shop solution. And so we've been able to kind of have that in play for, years, and 25 years probably. But now you've got partners like Tinuiti and Walmart Connect and many, many others that are bringing these measurement solutions and data solutions and media solutions. And so as a brand, it's really fragmented. And so for us, it's kind of, we're trying to figure out like, who's the biggest players, kind of how do we streamline that and pick kind of less partners, but knowing that we need more partners helping us answer these questions. And so that's really kind of, I'd say, a big pain point that we have right now. And so we're looking for kind of partners that kind of help us streamline that process, but give us kind of, more scale and effectiveness in the way we measure.
Yeah, and I would say that's a big pain point from the agency standpoint, where there's a huge onus upon us to try to, how do we piece all that together to give you that single view? Because there is no silver bullet. There is no one player.
Yeah, for sure.
And it takes multiple to pull it together. And then you're talking about technology and platforms and machine learning to optimize all that, which is not the traditional world of what agencies would play in.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to have to get comfortable with on the brand side is, using sources of data and measurement that we can say, okay, well, that might not specifically include Walmart sales or another retailer sales. It gives us a really good picture that we can apply across. And so let's not over measure this. Let's not over analyze this, which we, historically can get caught up doing. So.
Agreed. And so Deanna, from your point of view.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about like omni channels, and this is our solution for bringing together it for sellers and shoppers. So we're connecting them throughout any of their touch points. And this is, I think, a really interesting view of all the different ways that we've brought together of how you can help brands reach their customers, whether it be pickup delivery, through the app, in store, on the web. And we're working to continue to scale, as Julie was talking about, both the lower funnel, so making big updates there so that we continue to ensure we have the best experiences, the highest delivering performances there, but also working to build new platforms on the brand side. So as you guys might be familiar, we have the DSP through Trade Desk. And so now you're able to buy display offsite audiences through the DSP, and makes it super easy. And so we're trying to bring across both of those sides, both lower and then upper funnel, and then really connect it across all of these different touch points so that brands are able to reach their customers wherever they are.
Okay. One more question. So we'll start, Deanna. What innovations are you guys focused on? What do you guys have coming out, and what are you doing next?
This is like my favorite stuff because I'm a product person, so I love this sort of things. So first, on the innovation side, we're really focused here on enhancing the performance. You guys might be familiar. I'm going to geek out for a second, but we launched second price auction fairly recently. And what that means is basically like we moved to like a smarter auction model. So as you're placing your performance ad dollars, they can go further. And so we've made a lot of investments and updates there from an innovation standpoint. On the automation side, we want to make it easier for brands to reach, to buy and to reach their customers. And so here we're making updates with adding more partners like Tinuiti so that you can connect and use them, manage your campaigns through API partners like Tinuiti. We're also enhancing, making it easier to buy self-service on-site display or display self-service. You can now buy that yourself and manage it yourself. It's super easy, and that's a tool available. And then as well on the DSP side, so through Trade Desk partnership, you're able to buy off-site display and manage that as well. So that's primarily what's on the automation side. And then on the acceleration side, I think we know it's not going to stay constant. I think we just heard that from GM, sort of talking about this continued evolution. And part of that for us are these new experiences, whether that be in store or online. We're looking at connected TV, video ads, online. So those are some of the places that we're looking to accelerate.
Awesome.
Yeah, for us, I'd say, one of the things that we're really, doesn't sound super innovative, but it's really embedding commerce throughout that funnel. We've typically not thought about or activated commerce at top of mid-funnel or top of middle funnel type of channel, media channels. And so really looking for solutions that enable us to constantly kind of push, or embed commerce throughout that we can immediately drive to transaction is a big part of it. The other one is really around segmentation, and getting kind of tighter with how we think about audiences, and moving from kind of typical media audiences to much more buying and insight-driven audiences about our brands. And so partners who are, bringing kind of interesting, we're doing some stuff with Google right now and their audience lab capability around kind of how do we really understand kind of, again, behaviors and insights and preferences that we're using and targeting our media off of versus demographics, for example, or household composition. Is historically how we bought media. So those are really the kind of the two places that I'd say we're putting a lot of emphasis in. And again, not innovative in concept for probably most of you, but that certainly is kind of how we're evolving.
And that's where, as agencies, we're trying to push towards is precision at scale. Understanding audiences. How do we make sure you're spending your right dollar for both of you, that you're getting the most out of that? We're helping drive category, but we're driving the right messages to the right platforms.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, here's the good news. You have some takeaways, but you get bonus takeaways from us. So they wanted 3, but you get 3 from each of us, from a brand, a retailer, and an agency. So you get 9 takeaways. So Julie.
So Omni, definitely think integrated. Don't just think of them as separately. Full funnel. Connect the dots, kind of between kind of top of funnel brand plus your performance media, and then the measurement piece that we talked about. Kind of really helping kind of think about a holistic way of kind of measuring kind of full funnel and evolving your metrics.
All right.
While it's not one of my takeaways, I just would like to plus one, which Julie's first one of like bringing those two together. Again, remember like 2 to 4 times while they're in store, they're taking out their app, they're looking at their phone, they're looking for ratings and reviews. It's influencing what they're purchasing. So really blending it and not thinking about those experiences separately, I think is a super important point that I'd just love to make sure everybody has.
And I think this applies to everybody. what got us here won't get you there. There's the changes we've seen in the industry requires not
For
just
sure.
new behavior, new talent, new capabilities, new structures, rethinking how you're organized. I'm not saying it's a complete rebuild, but you have to really take an inward look and really assess how you're going to market and who you're working with to get there. Commerce on customers' terms, to your point, Julie, like we talk, customer means different things to different people. I would say for both, right? How do the retailers want to work? What is the way we need to engage with them? Everybody's starting to launch their own data clean rooms, how we close attribution with each of those partners, how do you operate with media or on the PDP pages, and then customer from how we think of it from the shopper. What's on their terms? We want to be taking big data to understand precision. How do I understand? Precision gets me to personalization, and we don't want personalization one-to-one, but more from a relevance. Understand what's important to that shopper. Are we serving it the right kind of content? What are their shopping behaviors? How do the categories they buy? Are they lapsed? Are they loyalists? Those all drive different messages on different platforms. Friends like ours at Walmart have a big advantage. They're first movers in a lot of that creation of rethinking how they are built and having the ability to go to market and having that technology and tools as partners to make that happen. So take advantage of that and move with them.
Yeah, I think first one here is we're really dedicated to increasing the performance. I talked about it first purposefully as we were sort of walking through what we're focused on, making sure that we're driving increased results for you. I think that's the only way that we're going to move forward together is really driving those results. We talked a lot about the complexity and also with this diversification of channels. And so with that, you need partners like Tinuiti and a breadth likely of partners in order to move forward. It's impossible for anybody just themselves to do it. And in order to sort of scale, automate, optimize, you really need partners alongside linking arms with you to move forward. And then I would say too, like continue to learn more. We're moving fast and we're not planning on slowing down. It's something I love and I think probably makes something challenging sometimes of working with retailers. But I'd encourage everybody to continue to stay educated. We put a QR code, might be a little bit far for those in the room. I think they'll be in the slides. And there you go, it's a little bit bigger. But I'd encourage you all to stay educated, continue to ramp. I know Julie was excited to see this herself for the team. So just leverage the resources. We'll continue to keep this updated and share more.
Ladies, I thank you both for the time. I think we're going to do any Q&A or no?
We're going to cut.
I think we're on time. Oh, quick.
Hey, folks, I'm Matt Steinmetz. I'm Senior Vice President of Events at Adweek. I just want to thank you all for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed the first two sessions as much as I have and our team has. Let's just close the loop, guys, with a quick question for each of you. There's been a ton of change the last couple of years. What about this journey has surprised you the most? And maybe it was something easy, and maybe it was something really, really challenging. Why don't we start with you, Deanna?
I think and looking back, it's probably not a surprise, but the amount of acceleration that happened, I think we saw like 5 years change in 5 months. And just that rapid acceleration, I know even if you think about like other industries and education shifting online, that has definitely happened to retail and commerce. And so I think that has been amazing. And now knowing it's not going to change and that it continues to evolve now into this omnichannel as we talked about is something that I found really interesting and surprised me, at least initially, and now where it's shifting to.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, what's, I'd say, surprised me as much as I think Shaun kind of brought it up a little bit in his key takeaways is that I'm constantly having to kind of reinvent and constantly think a future ahead and versus kind of sitting stagnant. And so I feel like my job for probably the last 5 years or so being in this space as a marketer and in commerce, I'm constantly having to like transform, and build new capability and balance the short and the long term equally. And that's probably unique to the people that kind of exist in this space.
Yeah. And I would say maybe not a surprise, but maybe more of a delight that how the relationships have changed between retailers and brands, and we're in this. They recognize it used to be. I'm not going to say adversarial, but pretty damn close. But how you're
it
trying
used to be about give us your best price,
right? Best price,
and it was a different
the top to top's
discussion.
very different. Now they recognize it's a shared journey. The only way to get there to create these new solutions is together. Because nobody's going to have those solutions on their own.
Yeah, it's a great one, Shaun. Yeah.
That's a great one to go out on. So I want to thank our guests, Deanna, Julie, and Shaun. Just a great discussion. We certainly appreciate all your insights. So let's give a hand to our guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.